Thank God you came. How many more days could I wait? Make plans with you, and I won't let them fall through. I think I lie for you. I think I die for you. Jealousy cry. Just can't feel what
Hi, this is Tracy Braxton, and you're watching the Bobby
Hi, I'm Laura with the BobbyPin.com.
Hi.
And my question is, Crash and Burn for debut
president. And we want to play out that clip of President Trump.
So he did go, y'all. He was there, and they were not happy. They sent him over there with the public, the rest of the public, and he was arguing on behalf of FBAs, the slaves and their children.
Announcing that he'll be at the Supreme Court tomorrow. He said this during an event at the White House today.
The Supreme Court tomorrow is going to hear arguments about your executive order trying to get rid of birthright citizenship.
And I'm going.
You're going to go to the Supreme Court tomorrow?
I do believe
it. Sit there and listen.
Because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires or billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War. And if you take a look at when it was filed, all of this legislation, all of this, everything having to do with birthright citizenship, it was at the end of the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves and the protection of the babies of slaves. It didn't have to do with the protection of multi-millionaires and billionaires wanting to have their children get an American citizenship. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's been so badly handled by legal people over the years. If you look at the original birthright citizenship papers, they all happened right after the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves. And hopefully it's going to say, because our country is being scammed. We're getting all of these people. They're selling the rights to them. People are making a big living, getting hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars from bringing people in and saying, congratulations, your whole family is going to be a citizen of the United States of America. That's not what it was for. It wasn't for billionaires bringing people in or family in. It was for the children of slaves. And what you really have to do, and I don't think the lawyers talk about it as much, look at when the Civil War ended and look at the date of when this was enacted.
That was the announcement from President Trump saying he will be at that Supreme Court hearing tomorrow. And the White House has since confirmed that it is on their schedule for tomorrow.
And FBA children, and the world don't like it, and they don't like it. If y'all don't know, that man ain't listening to everything y'all saying about us deleting. And so he gonna make sure he enforced that policy of deleting. That 14th Amendment was clear. It was written for the slaves and their children after the Civil War. And, a lot of blacks went in because they promised you your freedom. But let's just say that this people going. I know a lot of them that do that. What about the sale of the green card scam? The green card scam, where it's $1 billion industry, where they tricking these American women like they love them, and then marry them. As soon as they get the green card, they gone, and then they send for their families. It's all a scam, you guys. And the tourism babies, those are women that pretend like they coming on tour here at 9 months and then drop the baby. right? Well, now that lady is anchored into this country. The family is anchored into this country because the baby is American citizen, but they're not. So we finna do away with that. Baby says immigration kids were never supposed to be citizen, period. And you got a lot of these be on the internet. I'm the first generation immigrant, right? I was born over here, right? Or I came over here when I was 2 years old. So now they're saying that they're citizens and they're calling themselves African American. So that's why we delineated. Minding my business. Oh, minding my business like you immigrants should do. Stay out of FBA business. Black Americans and Africans are not the same. Say it again. Let the choir say amen. We are not the same. Lord have mercy. I made a mistake, y'all. Back in the 70s, I married a Nigerian. Oh, I thought we that did the civil rights movement and we thought we was going to have allies over here so we could be the majority. I thought we was all one, you guys. We'll divorce because cultural differences is the same. That man hated black men. He didn't talk so much bad about black women, but black men, oh Lord, y'all. And when I had a baby by that man, right? My first husband died, right? So I had my oldest daughter. I brought my oldest daughter into the relationship, and when I started having children by him, he was saying that his children was better because they were from him. That's what he said. And clearly, we don't play that in the black home. Everybody's equal. All the children is equal in black American homes. We don't do that. No, man. So I divorced them, y'all. I would refuse to have my children growing up in a home like that. A home where this man from Nigeria, he's constantly tearing down black Americans and then constantly telling me that his child that I had by him was better than the one that I had by my first husband, y'all. And another thing, this off the subject, y'all quit getting on ladies for having multiple dads. My first husband died. Then I got married a second time. And then that second husband was a Nigerian, a Ku Klux Klansman, but he was a Nigerian. So sometimes women could have multiple dads because of problems, especially if they're getting murdered or died or something. Life goes on. All right, y'all. I got off the subject. Now let's go to D Creepo. We've got a lot of illegal people that went to HBCUs. As a matter of fact, that's where I met my Nigerian husband at HBCU. Now I was holding him down because I had already graduated and was working in my field as a profession, making that money. And I was holding him down, you guys. I really was. He was just a student in school and washing dishes. And then about that second year, he came to me after I had his baby. Maybe 2 or 3 years later, he came to me about a green card. And I'm like, the hell, I ain't getting you no green card. Yeah, no green card here. So those green cards is a scam. In other words, you married me to get a green card. And then you got a baby at the deal. No. Y'all, we're divorced now. So that's just it too. We got a lot of illegal people that went to HBCU. They're all there, all colors, all ethnicity is at these HBCUs that we built. They say we don't have no culture, but we built schools way, way back in the day because they didn't want us to read, they didn't want us to write. They didn't want us to attend their school, so we built our own schools. These are the schools that you guys come over here for. Because my ex said he was over here on a student visa, right? Yeah, HBCU. If that's the case, it's a lot of their parents were illegal and came over here and had a dumb, you know what, baby. Now, Doc Ford said the Supreme Court are in favor of illegal immigrants. This country is screwed. That's right, Dark Force. Very, very, very screwed. Now, how many of you out there, I know better now, y'all. I know better, y'all. I'm an old lady from the civil rights Jim Crow area, and we was into this Pan-Africanism, and oh wow, we were so proud to get our African brothers and sisters over here, and to find out that they literally hate us. That broke my heart, you guys. Have I ever been over to Nigeria? I refuse to go over there. After I saw the hate, you know that man, mama, found out he was married to an American citizen and disowned him. He's still over here, y'all. Well, our daughter's about 40 years old now. He's still over here. They disown him because he married an American citizen. That's how bad they hate us. And they cut off his funds. They used to send him money once a year, big lump sums of money.
No more schools, no more HBCUs, no more positions of politics, no more speaking for us. For a long time, we was blind by the color of skin. We thought,
credit this to mahogany, cultural, and travel.
Y'all was us. Y'all not us. And now we see that. Now, y'all losing positions. Joy Reid got fired. You know why? Because Joy Reid don't speak for Black Americans. The reason getting paid $3 million a year to be a fucking coon, her words mean nothing. Roland Martin, words mean nothing. Kamala Harris, words mean nothing. If you can't get the Black American to follow you, there is no more use for you. Now they went to birthright citizenship. Y'all not Americans. There is no more use. There's no more use for you. You know what I'm saying? Now that we know who we are, America's gonna know who we are. And we're gonna start identifying you. I want y'all to have different birth certificates. I want y'all, if y'all immigrants, your parents are immigrants, it should always be in your ID that y'all immigrants. That should never get nothing for Black Americans. There should be no African scholarships, no Caribbean scholarships in America. Everything in America should be for Americans. And Black Americans should be a priority. We would have preferred, see, look, all these opportunities Caribbeans, Africans getting is supposed to be for Black Americans. Every doctor that's a Nigerian in America is supposed to be a Black American. Every news anchor, every Candace Owen, every Joy Reid supposed to be Black Americans. And even if they coon Black Americans, we rather see our coons and foreign coons. You know, our coons are still on code behind the scenes. These Caribbeans ain't, nigga, y'all would never be on coolness. Y'all always opposite, always in competition. Tribalism, y'all sold each other, y'all sold us. Y'all don't get along over there. Y'all bring that same shit here, and y'all fucking up the cohesiveness of Black America. And we coach y'all about no time. Coach y'all when y'all 10% of the population. That's about to slow down. Everything, the gravy train, the biscuit wheels, the shit is over now. All you third world barefoot hut monkey bitches, it's over. America has no more use for you. Now Trump went to gold card. You know what that means? That means we want the best of y'all. All y'all third world motherfuckers come here, y'all the worst. And our taxpayers' money pay for each and every last one of y'all. Y'all come here and talk shit on our tax out. Every one of y'all came here broke. How y'all get here? Our tax money. How'd y'all get shelter? Our tax money. How'd y'all get fucking fed? Our tax money. Y'all don't deserve no housing, no welfare, no scholarships, none of that shit. Because you have your own countries to go to. Why should Americans make foreigners better? That's why America is fucking falling apart now, because we outsource everything. We kept everything in-house. Trump and us stopped doing a lot of shit. I was doing a great job. Doing a great job. Great job. Y'all useless. Y'all fucking traitors. Y'all not loyal. Y'all shouldn't be here anyway.
This is FBA, y'all, Black News. But this is coming from FBA Revoke. This young lady named is Jessica Jackson. She did not hold her tongue about how they put Latinos and African teethers ahead of FBAs. Let's listen to her.
meeting where they were discussing reparations, but had a whole bunch of, Latinos and Africans there, sitting up on the panels and the boards. But here's the thing, we FBAs are hip to the game. You won't be able to use the tether class of people, giving us fake representation while undermining us. You know what I mean? We got hip to that. We rendered the tether class useless. And to talk about reparations ain't something between, Latino tethers and African tethers. That's a direct claim we FBA freedmen got with the U.S. government. It ain't about, all people of color, minorities, so they shouldn't even be up in the mix, and we rendered them useless. To talk about reparations is a direct claim we FBA got with the U.S. government. So I got the audio and the video of this FBA sister up there in Chicago standing all the way on FBA business, and we're going to walk through and talk about it how we normally do. Fair use.
It's being held and talking about expressions of slavery, and you don't even have any Black aldermen there. Now, it's not your fault. It's a testimony of just how sorry and pathetic the Black aldermen are in City Hall, which has allowed you all to do all type of things that you all shouldn't be allowed to do. But the fact of the matter is the fact that you have Africans in here today talking about expressions of slavery. Slavery in America.
That's ludicrous, family. The audacity of these foreign fleeing tethers like that. Now, Ghanaian president, his tether ass gonna come over here, try to pray over our FBA ancestors' burial ground, do some, tribal dances, this, that, and the other, and damn that. You know what I mean? Them folks were complicit in the slavery of our FBA ancestors as well. And they shouldn't be nowhere in the vicinity when, FBA freedmen, reparations is being discussed, because that ain't, a claim with, Latino tethers and African tethers. That's a direct claim we FBAs got with the U.S. government. And let's continue.
Happened to us, Black Americans, not them. In fact, the Africans of today don't even associate themselves with Black Americans.
Yeah, that's just speaking, truth to power, these damn, African tethers, the tether class we talking about, they come over here, stick in their own little groups and enclaves, call our people lazy, Akatas, this, that, the other, get on the internet, call for threats and harm be done to our people. Damn that, you know what I mean? And people think, they walk around with a chip on their shoulder, the tether class, like they better than our people, when it was our foundational Black American ancestors that paved the way for their musty asses to get on over here to begin with. They should be worshiping the ground FBA's walk on.
They don't even associate themselves with us. In their little minds, they think they're superior.
She's right, y'all. I was married to one. And when I had a baby by this man was telling me that the child I bought into the marriage, my first husband died, y'all. Her daddy died. So then I had kids with him, and he was telling me that his kids was the one I got by him, the children I got by him was superior than my oldest daughter, because she was not Igbo, y'all. But the fact is, y'all, enslaved Black people experience extreme violence. None of y'all Africans, Latino, nothing ever experienced what we experience in this country. Our bloodshed, blood just soaking in the salt. And then we would separate from our families, right? Working from sunset to sundown to sunset. Separated from your family permanently, y'all. Hereditary chattel slavery. Why they took our land from us. Our land that's supposed to have been hereditary, supposed to have been inherited by our children. Because yes, we were here before these MF got here. We had our own land. We had our own everything. And now what happened is everybody come along and try to replace FBAs. Everybody come along and tag themselves on our shit. Then tag themselves on the birthright citizenship. That Trump is up there in the Supreme Court fighting for FBAs right now to let them know that no, the 14th Amendment was for the slaves and their children, y'all. So let's talk about the middle patch. Let's talk about it. Y'all, they said only 3%, only 3 to 4% made it to America. The rest of them, millions of them were shipped to Brazil and the Caribbean plantation. That's where they were at, y'all. Oh, don't talk about the family separation. Half of all enslaved families was separated by sale, creating deep, lasting trauma. For them to come over here now and ask for what y'all call it, ask for reparation. You had an immigrant asking for reparation. You have immigrants all up in the Congress representing their children. And the immigrant that asked for reparation was the one that she asked for reparation from ICE. ICE trying to get the criminal off the streets. Talk about condition, y'all. Enslaved people were considered property. Therefore, everything they created, from the toilet to the light bulb, to the elevator, to the train, to the GPS, you named it. Well, I take the GPS. Sister West, she did claim her own because she just recently, the GPS is new. But back in the day, we were considered property. So therefore, all of everything that we created and invented, the slave owner got credit for it, you guys. Anyhow, so y'all come over here now, these immigrants gonna say, well, y'all don't know this, y'all don't know that. Yeah, we got complete documentation, y'all. We got documentation of how many black people were enslaved in the United States, and it's not as many as what y'all want us to believe, right? Because most of the people in this country were already here before they got here. Let me go on, honey. This is talking good.
To us. So for them to come over here and think that they should be getting some type of rights and in the conversation of slavery, it's a straight up insult.
Now, this is ludicrous right here, family. Did any of y'all hear, the Democrats are getting out here, and advocating that reparations need to be paid to these foreign fleeing tethers? Damn that, the Democrats got a hell of a nerve. When we FBAs, demand our lineage-based justice claim for our ancestors being in slavery and bondage and building up America, they turn the blind eye to that, but they're willing to, push for, immigrants to get, reparations. And that's a bunch of nonsense.
So shout out to FBA Revoke. Yes, it is a bunch of nonsense. Yes, it is.
Felt that they were constrained by, who their parents were and what class system they fell into. The point of coming to America is that, as my dear friend Martha Jones, the historian, says, that individuals are not burdened by the limitations and the disabilities of their parents. And so even if you came to...
So sure iffy, right? It's obvious that she's not a FBA, y'all. This thing is what the young lady Jessica was talking about. Every time she come in a council meeting, all these illegal immigrants is sitting up there talking about the plight of FBAs, but they're looking out for themselves.
Let's say Ellis Island, and the baby was born the next day. It didn't matter who their parents were, what the class of their parents were. They were a citizen. And of course, for Black people, like I heard them keep saying that, this is about newly freed slaves and their children. It was about Black people, because the Dred Scott decision had said that Black people were not only not citizens, but could not be citizens. And so
so look how she's phrasing it, so she can tie everybody that look like us, regardless of what country they come to, into the 14th Amendment. Dred Scott was an FBA. He went to court for his wife, his children, his family. He was a slave over here. Don't y'all get that? None of your grandmama, grandparents, none of y'all were slaves over here. What do y'all not understand? Dred Scott was still enslaved when he went to court. He was not fighting for y'all over there that was selling us over here. How you gonna go fight for the people who is selling and enslaving us?
Left in not only enslaved people, but also Black people who were free. And so it's important to understand that scope of what they were trying to correct. And of course, as you know, Chris, in the legislative history, there were explicit conversations that raised many of the same kind of invasion ideas that we hear now about immigration from Latin America that were being raised about the Chinese. There were members of Congress saying we're going to be overrun in California by this group that cannot assimilate, that is not part of us, that doesn't share our values. And those voices were overcome by the other voices in Congress who said, but the children of those individuals, the American-born children, will be citizens. And that was the context in which the 14th Amendment was ratified.
All right, Sharon Eiffel, what a treat to get to have you today. Thank you.
So sure, Effie was, she said she was over the defense. Girl, the defense fund, what did you do? She is the former president of NAACP.